I feel on top of the world today. I feel on top of the world, man. Anytime you have a legend like Dustin Poirier and obviously the man, Joe Rogan, throwing your name out there on the pod, man, I appreciate them so much, man. I appreciate the love, Dustin, man. I've been trying to get you on the show for a long period of time, and hopefully we can do that soon. I know our schedules haven't aligned. I was trying to get you at the trying to get you to join me over at the LSU game last year, LSU Texas A&M game. Couldn't get that to align either. You had to fly out that night, and very unfortunate. But hey, man, we will do it one of these days. I appreciate the love, man. I appreciate the respect. And, bro, you've been doing it a long time. Hope you have an awesome retirement. And, brother, it was always a pleasure watching you fight. I had nothing but respect for you. You know that. Trained with you, worked out with you, and you made me, in a funny way, you made me bleed my own blood kind of thing. But, man, I appreciate the kind words. And, man, a great show. Great show on the Rogan pod, man. Loved it. Loved every second of it. So, congratulations to you in the retirement, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you do next. And like I said, love to have you on here, hopefully soon. Podcast Dave is joining me tonight. We got someone else going to join us again later on in the evening, probably in the next 30 minutes or so. It'll be Ben the Bane again. He's going to jump on, and we're going to talk kind of the stuff that's going on with MVP, also to the White House card and the MVP card and comparisons. Look, guys, let's not blow this all out of proportion. There's no comparison, okay? The UFC card is the better card because it has the current, more active fighters. But I'm not taking a dig at what MVP is doing. In its own world, it's a great card. What it does, it gives us fans options. So we'll get into that conversation when Ben jumps on and stuff. But for the meantime, there's some fight stuff, some fight announcements that we haven't talked about. So I'm going to kind of break some of those fights down on how I think the fights will go. And then also, too, we'll talk about the main event for this weekend's fight night. Also, you've got the PFL. The PFL is this weekend. I believe it's this Friday. I think it's on Friday, correct? It is Fabian Edwards versus Castelo Vancenis. One of my favorite fighters to watch is Castelo Vancenis. And I love watching Fabian Edwards fight as well. Two of them, both at the top of their games. I honestly believe if both of them ended up going off to the UFC, they would have success in the UFC. I'm not saying that they would be champions. I'm not saying that they would mollywop guys. I'm simply saying they would have success. They would be some of the top guys in the organization. Now, I can't tell you how long because I think I have to look at their ages and be like, hey, let's see how old you guys are. Let's see how long you can last. Look, being a top guy for a long period of time is not easy. Definitely isn't easy. So I just wanted everyone to know that the PFL is this weekend. That is a huge fight. I also believe do you have that card? Can you pull that card up for me there, Dave? I believe Dalton Rasta, I think, is on that card, or is he on the Johnny Eblin card next week? He's another stud, man. Dalton Rasta is a stud as well. I'm not sure if he's on this weekend's card or if he's on the following weekends. Who's the co-main event on this card?
Co-main is
Adam Boric and AJ McKee. Great fight. Now, if Adam wrestles, or not Adam, but if AJ McKee wrestles at all, utilizes his submissions, AJ should have this one in the bag. Nothing against Adam Boric. He just has a tendency sometimes to fight a more safer fight when fighting guys like AJ McKee, guys that can wrestle. So what was the fight below that? There was one more fight I thought I saw that was a decent fight. You can go ahead and just read it off to me if you want.
Franco Tanaglia and Yassine Najid. I don't know those guys.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Linton Vassell and Jose Augusto. Is that another?
Oh, that's a good one, though. Jose Augusta and Linton Vassell is a good one.
Mm-hmm. I don't know any of the names on there.
Yeah, I get you, man. Look, they're trying to rebuild. Look, everything that they've done was all built around their tournament schedule. You go ahead and take that off. AJ McKee, though, everything was built around everything was built around their tournament schedule. So they picked the best guys they could that were willing and active to fight and make the weight on a consistent basis, so they didn't look, so that they didn't have problems. They picked guys that they knew that would continue, that were able to make the weight for their tournament style format that they were running. That's gone now. And now that tournament format is gone, we potentially will get the best fights we can possibly get in the PFL. So it's up to them to build a promotion. And I honestly believe that they have an opportunity. They have great talent. They've got a lot of really good talent. It's up to them now to produce. The talent's got to produce. The promotion's got to promote them. And I'm hoping, and I said this a while back, and I got a ton of flack for it because obviously it didn't come out the way that I expected it to come out. Is that the media is constantly complaining about the business of the of MMA, the UFC, and everything else. But what I think is we should spend less time talking about the business of MMA and spend more time talking about what are the best fights to be made and what are the best fights happening at this moment. And Canelo Vancinas and Fabian Edwards is one of the best fights happening this weekend. Hands down, one of the best fights happening this weekend. AJ McKee and Adam Boric, one of the best fights happening this. I'm sure there's some other good fights on the PFL, but we should be giving them some love. Okay. And everyone's like, oh, I don't know when it's on. Well, one of the reasons why you don't know when it's on is because not all the media talks about all promotions. They don't talk about all fights. They don't talk about all promotions. They only talk about the promotions when the fights intrigue them. I don't know what it is, but this to me is a really good fight. Canelo Vancinas is one of those guys that he doesn't fight the smartest. He's more of a fan favorite. He just comes out, lets it all hang out. He makes a lot of mistakes, but man, he's fun to watch. You know, he will get after it. And look if you go back and watch his last fight with Johnny Eblen, where he won the title, he was losing that fight. I think he lost rounds 1, 2, and 3. He'd already lost the round. I think he could have potentially lost round 4. And he was kind of losing round 5, but he was coming on. And he was able to get the submission. He needed to get the finish. He got the submission with, I think, the last 10 seconds of the fight, chokes out Johnny Eblen, wins the title, and now he's fighting Fabian Edwards. Guys like that are the ones that deserve the recognition. Same with Johnny. Johnny being the guy, just was undefeated at the time. Just a fantastic fighter. And all these guys deserve some love, man. I feel like they deserve love from all the media sources, and we should be talking about this level of fights. Johnny Eblen versus Brian Battle next week. You've got Canelo Vancinas and Fabian Edwards this week. You got AJ McKee versus Adam Boric. And then you got Dalton Rosson next week. Who is Dalton? Can you look that up for me? Dalton Rosson is fighting the co-main event next week. Fantastic fighter, man.
He is fighting Impa.
Impa
yeah.
Impa Kasang. I know you didn't want to butcher that last.
I did not want to. But just as a note, by the way, Dustin was on Joe Rogan today touting Johnny Eblen's praises, like saying he would, you stick him in the top 5 in UFC and he gives them a run for their money.
Absolutely. Look, I've been saying this. I said that though about Patchy Mix as well. And so if you're gonna take a dig at me, I can understand. I get it. But look, not everyone is, it doesn't work out for everyone, man. If it was that easy, everyone would be doing it. So I use myself as an example is that, inside the gym, I would get my ass kicked all the time. But when the lights turned on, I had great performances, not all the time, but, obviously to be one of the top guys in the world for so long. I mean, you guys got to remember what Dustin was talking about today, the Yves Edwards fight and my fight that should have been for the UFC title. We were the last fight in the lightweight division for years until they brought back the lightweight belt. I want to say in like 2006, sometime around there, end of 2005 or 2006. We were the very last fight, and that should have been for the UFC lightweight title. And had that been for the title, and we had heard that it wasn't for the title. We knew that it wasn't for the title. I shouldn't say heard. We knew it wasn't for the title, and we had heard that they were going to get rid of the division. I was trying, and I didn't fight a very smart fight, and I'm not taking anything away from Yves, but I was trying to make the fight exciting for them to say, hey, let's go ahead and like this. Maybe there is something here, and it backfired on me. It couldn't have got more exciting for them, and they still didn't keep the division. So that should have let you know anything I did wasn't going to be enough. So which is understandable now when you got the full picture of how they were bleeding money to keep the weight classes going. And the lightweight division was a mess at the time, if you guys recall. So, with the whole BJ Penn and Matt Serra and Carl Uno fighting for the title, it being a draw, and those guys, BJ going away and all this stuff. There was so much controversy around it all. And, what was going on? BJ going up, wanted to fight Matt Hughes, beating Matt Hughes in my second fight. Just all of these things. So there was a lot going on at that time. That we were not able to keep the lightweight division around. But I look at these guys and I look at the guys that are still on the PFL roster. I think there's a lot of talent there. There's a lot of talent there. Dalton Rosson being one, obviously Johnny Eblen being one, Canelo Vancinas being the champion there. Fabian Edwards, Leon Edwards' brother. So a very talented fighter, very talented. Dakota Ducheva. Let's not talk about Dakota Ducheva. Like she's a stud, absolute stud. So, I'd like to see them, most of them. Look, you've got Patricio Pitbull right now in the rankings. You got MVP in the rankings. I think you'll have Yaroslav Amosov in the rankings here pretty soon. I just heard that he's got a top level fighter for his next fight in the UFC. He made short work of his first fight. He beat Curtis Millender in, I want to say, the LFA or another like lower show to get himself into the UFC. So they have expectations for him as well, but they were slow playing him because they didn't like his style. But I got to be honest, he's one of the best guys. And you can ask Dustin Poirier, you can ask Johnny Eblen. They train with him for years. He's a really, really good fighter. Really just all depends on how you come out and you fight inside that cage when the bright lights turn on. It's a new home. Not all guys can adjust to fighting in a new promotion and a new home. They had success in one promotion. It's very difficult to go from one to the next. I tip my hat to guys like Eddie Alvarez, to Demetrius Johnson, to Eddie Alvarez, Demetrius Johnson. They're like guys that were able to bounce from promotion to promotion and have success. It's been amazing to see these guys do it. Jake Shields had a lot of success everywhere he went, man. Almost everywhere he went, he had Jake Shields and Nick Diaz both had a lot of success wherever they went, especially before their pre-UFC careers and stuff, or even during their UFC careers. So there's a lot there, man. There's a lot of guys and females that have had success in other locations, and it's good to see them. Let's go ahead and talk about some fight analysis that had happened. We just kind of glossed over them, I think, on the show Bad Takes with my boy Angelo. But let's go ahead and talk about it. He doesn't like to get in depth. If a fight doesn't excite him, Angelo is one of those guys like, no one cares. No, there's people that do care about some of these fights. And so I'm going to talk about them right now. And I'm going to give some love to these guys because they deserve it. So let's talk about, let's see, go ahead. Pick out one of those fights and let me know what you think.
So I kind of want to just make sure that we cover the ones that you haven't yet. Did you get Sean Brady? We did these ones, right? So it's we're kind of at the Blachowicz and Guskov.
Okay, that's a good fight. Look, I guess ultimately it comes down to how much does Jan Blachowicz have in the tank? I mean, he's 42 years old, I believe is what he is now. He's obviously slowing down a little bit. He does not want to wrestle at all. What will Guskov do? Well, he's going to stand and bang with him probably, which I think benefits Jan Blachowicz. But if he was to wrestle, 43, it's 43. So if he was to wrestle and push Jan to another level, I think by round 2, you can see Jan start to fold a little bit. How old is Guskov? 31? 33. He's right in the middle of his prime, like kind of towards the end of his prime. That 32, 33, 34 is kind of that end prime. 35, I think, is you're kind of right at the end. You're done at 35. It's hit or miss for some. Depends on where you're at in your career, how much damage you've taken throughout your career. But 35 is kind of the you start noticing the slowing down phases. You start noticing you're getting hit when you weren't getting hit before. The reaction time is not there. And the level of conditioning, no matter how hard you train, your body just doesn't bounce back like it used to in terms of recovery. So, but I think that's a great fight. Guskov versus Jan Blachowicz. Blachowicz still ranked number 5, I believe. Like he's in that mix. So guys in that mix, it just makes sense. For him to have that fight. All right, go ahead and let's go ahead and talk to me about what's another fight on that card. There was one. I think you said Belal. I don't think I've talked about Belal.
Hold on, I'm moving around here. Belal and Bonfim.
Great fight, man. Great fight. I believe Belal Muhammad, man, somebody that just I don't think he'll ever get the credit he deserved. What a stud. Just an absolute dog. Great cardio at 39 years old, I believe is what he is. 38, 39 years old. But Bonfim, he's got it on the feet, man. He can wrestle and grapple a little bit. I don't think he can stop Bilal's pressure. I don't think he can stop Bilal's wrestling. On top of that, what I've seen with Bonfim is he has a tendency to slow down because he throws everything with bad intentions. He throws everything extremely hard, which means as the fight starts to go on, you start to get tired. And as you start to get tired, Belal is there to exploit it. So Belal is one of those guys, man, that he just brings that tenacity, just brings that energy. And I love everything about him. I love everything about Belal Muhammad's ability to push the pace, get into your grill. You guys, I know that he didn't have a great performance against JDM, but at the end of that fight, man, there was never a moment where he was thinking to himself, man, I'm going to lose this fight. I'm going to lose this fight. No, he was coming out trying to win that fight until the very end. And I have nothing but respect for people that do that because we see too many times where people just give up on themselves and just go ahead and let the rounds end, like knowing that they could have done a little bit more, but they didn't do it. That was not the case for Belal. Belal was the guy that, I think no one ever gave him credit. He started talking about his boxing skills, started talking about like it doesn't matter. He has good boxing. He just didn't have as good a boxing that night against JDM. JDM has better boxing. Belal had moments in that fight, just no moments that would change the trajectory of how the outcome would end up. So I look at how Belal's career has gone. He deserves a lot more respect than he's ever gotten. And I think Bonfim is a perfect style matchup for him. Perfect style. Because Bonfim will slow down as the fight goes on. And can Bonfim handle the pressure that Belal is going to put on him? This will be a 3-round fight. Is it a 3-round or is it a main event? I think it's a 3-round.
It just says welterweight fight, June 6th, Las Vegas. It doesn't specify.
Okay, so it's probably a 3-round fight where I think that also that
it says main event in the caption.
Wow.
So
okay, all right. So in a 5-round fight, I have no doubts it favors Belal Muhammad. The experience of 5-round fights, the conditioning and cardio that he always brings to the table, absolutely favor Belal Muhammad. Give me one more of those fights on that bracket there. What else did you have?
Did you cover well, hold on.
Go ahead.
Steveson, Figueiredo, and Song Yadong?
No, but this is a good fight. The speed of Figgy is slowed down. Song Yadong having the speed. He's also got the power. He's got the great ability to stop takedowns. And we saw that against Henry Cejudo. I just don't think the Figgy has it in him to beat him. I think Song right now is on a different level. I think he's struggled against guys that are tall, longer, and lankier that have been able to exploit him a little bit. But I also believe that Song Yadong in his last fight I thought he looked good. He just didn't get it done. In the judge's eyes, he didn't get it done. So I think Figgy, 38, 39 years old, there's a problem there. So that sucks. I think that definitely sucks. But I think this is the way the sport goes. Fighters, we get older, we got to phase out, man. The new generation comes in, and Song Yadong is making his way up to the top, and I think he'll be there for a while. He's got heavy hands. He's super explosive. He's got good hips in terms of his wrestling. He's got all the weapons and all the tools. He's just got to find a way to get it done. In the big fights, he's been coming up short, and that's killing him right now. So hopefully he gets it done in this fight, and we can see him there for a long period of time in that top 5. So it'll be good for him. What else you got? There should be one more fight on there.
Let's see. We did most of these. Let's just go to Beneil Dariush and Skal killed.
Oh man, that should be a good fight, man. That should be a good fight. That kid's looking good lately. He's got a little bit of grappling. He's got some good submissions, got knockouts. Like Dariush kind of seems like he's on his way down. Look, just because he's got salt and pepper hair doesn't mean that he's 45 years old. Okay, I think he's only like 35 or 36 years old. He still has a little bit left in the tank. Huh?
I think he's like 38.
Is he 38? Yeah. Let's go. I don't know. I think he's 36.
He's 36. You're right.
Yeah. Jeez, you say I have CTE, bro. You might want to get yourself checked. You got you know what it is, right? You got kid brain, man. Your brain's going everywhere. You're dealing with kids all day.
Oh, dude, my brain.
Bro, it's wild, isn't it? Like my wife stayed in California Friday to Monday, and so I was home by myself. I got so much stuff done that I needed to get done, like in the computer, doing some testing stuff. And then they came home today. I got nothing done. I got one thing done. It took me like it's a time frame test that you have to take. It's a 2-hour-long test I had to take. Literally, like I timed out of it. So that means I had to start it over, and I had like 4 questions left. It's because it took me a full 2 hours. Normally I'm done with those things in like an hour 10 or like 50 minutes. Now I got to go back through and take it all again. I'm like, fuck. These time tests, man. Let's go right here. Let's see what Alejandro Gutierrez has to say. It says, thanks for the $2 super chat, by the way. If Izzy loses, should he retire? Hopefully Yuri wins. I don't think he should retire if he loses. It's up to him, man. I think he's going to fight free. He's going to fight however the hell he wants. But I think if you guys listen to the Dustin Poirier, Joe Rogan interview today, he's going through, he did go through a little bit of what I went through. And 20 years of waking up every day, knowing that at 9 o'clock, I'm going to go for 7 o'clock, I'm going to go for a run. 9 o'clock, I'm going to go to the gym. 10:30, I'm going to get some food, or 11:30 or 12, I'm going to have lunch. And then getting some rest between that. And then your 6:30 or 7 o'clock at night training session. And then maybe like a light sprint training session or lift at night before bed. He had a routine. It puts you out of your rhythm. And him and Dustin, he's 37 years old. There was outside of him just wanting to spend more time with his family, which I am all for. But realistically, he's still at the top. If we were to put him and plug him right back into the 155-pound division, he'd still be one of the best. And I think he'd be one of the best for another year and a half, maybe 2 years. And then age would probably start to catch up to him. So that's kind of where he's at. Like, I understand everything he said. I was feeling kind of depressed. I just did a thing with CPI stem cells, and I put it on my Instagram and at the Real Punk. You guys want to check it out? About like the emotional roller coaster of what you do after fighting. Like, the rhythm is not there. Like, men are creatures of habit. What we want is we want a routine. Mm-hmm. We enjoy the routine. We get up. Like, when my kids weren't here, it was like I slept till 8:30. And I didn't need to, but I did. I was like, man, I just felt like I had a really deep sleep. But when your kids are in the house, you have a tendency to kind of keep an ear out. You're always wondering if everything's okay. I think it's ingrained in men. It's in our DNA. And for him, not having the understanding of like what his routine was the next day, which is what I went through as well, I completely understand. I talked about it on the CPI Stem Cell podcast, and we dropped it on our channel here on YouTube. So you guys want to check that out. Literally, there's moments where I was like, man, I was feeling depressed, feeling like, down about it. It kind of gets you. I didn't want to leave the house. Just felt no energy. But then as soon as I go back to the gym and train like a day or two of jiu-jitsu, I'm like, damn, I feel alive again. And it doesn't have to be hard. I just got to train with the old men, like, the 50-year-old black belts and and then the 35 and 40-year-old and above, brown belts and purple belts. Like, those guys make me feel alive because they still have enough energy to make you feel like you're still good. You know what I mean? Like, they make you feel like they're still pushing you hard. But then you get in there with like a 22-year-old brown belt. You're like, damn, my life I'm so far behind, right? Like, these guys are animals. But I understand exactly where he's coming from, man. I do. So there was a clip. Can you pull up that clip that I put in our weighing in chat? There's a clip that I put of Dustin talking about it. Can we do that?
Yeah. Give me just a second.
No worries. Take a second. Yeah. But I mean, I want people to understand that there's a lot that fighters go through. Athletes, all athletes. Jay Glazer does a thing called MVP. It's called merging vets and players. So what he means by that is former NFL players, basketball players, former Olympians, believe it or not, and former veterans. How they go through this after being professional athletes, even with all the money, they still don't know what to do with themselves. As we're veterans, they come home and they're used to the routine of getting up, being with their group of troops, men, women, people in their team. They're used to those people. They're used to them being there all the time. Unfortunately, they have a tendency to sometimes replace your family that's back at home. And so he has this program called Merging Vets and Players, and they merge vets and professional athletes who are going through these hard times. It's a great program, man. I've had opportunities to meet and speak with them and be part of their groups and work out with them. And Jay did a great job of putting this on at his facility at Unbreakable in Hollywood or in LA. And, I worked out there with them, and we had a speech and talk and conversation about everything afterwards. It's a great program. But let's hear what Dustin had to say. These are the things that fighters go through. And I think all you guys that are just fans, you guys should understand that it's not just about the fight. There's families at home, there's life at home, and there's also what are you going to do after fighting? And this hit home for me. So take a listen.
I have a lot of times I don't have to get ready for a fight. I don't,
You're still a young man too. You still have a whole lot of life ahead of you.
37, man.
Yeah, so it makes you think, like, what do I do now? What do I do with my future? What do I do? What do you want to do?
Dude, I kind of got like, for a week or so, I would say depressed, but I kind of got into like a funk. Like, what the hell am I going to do with my life? Every day I would wake up for the last 20 years. How can I be a better fighter? What's new in fitness? How can I push myself? I want to be the champion. And then boom, you lay the gloves down and you wake up and you're a fucking civilian. Like,
right.
It feels crazy. It's like I'm relearning who I am. Like, I always knew fighting was just something I did. It wasn't who I was. But after 20 years of doing it, even though you know that and you think that, like, fuck, I don't know who I am without fighting.
How long did it take?
I'm a father, I'm a husband, I'm a lot of things.
Right.
But like, fighting was a cloud in my mind that never went away for 20 years.
Right.
And now I wake up and it's gone. Like, what do I do? I'm still trying to find out, Joe. I don't know.
That hit me, man. That hit me hardcore to my heart, man. It really did. Because there's like he said, like we always talk, like I always said, like fighting is just something I do. It's not who I am. But there's so much that comes along with it. It's your routine. It's your day. It's your day to day. Like you hear about people that they struggle after retirement and they actually have a tendency to go downhill. I was talking to Dominic Cruz about this on our interview that we did on the Weigh In show. I've had Dominic Cruz on. If you guys haven't seen that interview, check it out. And he's like, you never really retire. When you retire, you die. And it's very true. I honestly, like, I've seen so many people that have retired and then their health and their mental, their mental, everything went down when they stopped being productive in life. Like, and what I mean by productive is they felt like they had a purpose, was going to work, going to the gym, going to, to help other people get better at what they were doing. We're discovering yourself still. I'm still in phases, still doing it. I still have the podcast that I do. I do some other things as well. I'm doing some testing right now to do some other things in life, but there's a lot, man. There's a lot. Like, I was very fortunate. I did a lot of good things for myself in terms of financially, right? But all those things still cost money. And so when it comes to finances, you got to make sure that you're constantly taking care of yourself, but money's coming in. I'm not getting rich, but there's a cash flow coming in. But it doesn't, I'm not living the lifestyle that I was living, which is fine. And I understood that. And I didn't want to, I wanted to make sure that I was living a lifestyle that was able to be maintained. With him, he's got plenty of money. But money is not what we're striving for at this point in our life. And that's why I think for him, he's really coming to grips with, man, like fighting definitely wasn't me. It didn't define me. But it did define your schedule, your routine, and you're a creature of habit like the rest of us males are. And then that was what we did. So it wasn't us. It didn't define us, but it is what we did, and it consumed our lives. So it's very, very difficult. I understand what he's doing. I understand what he's going through. It's very tough. It's very tough, man. I saw this right here. Sports 2 cents. 2 cents. Yeah, I put in the application. They do a hiring like kind of thing every 3 to 6 months, I believe. And I submitted my application kind of like during December. So it should maybe come up sometime around May or June in terms of, doing interviews, getting through the interview checks and all that stuff. So we'll see what happens, man. And look, if I was to become a cop here, it'd be just in the city that I work in or that I live in. I have no desire to be a cop anywhere else. Like, I just want to be one here. Like, my family's here, my kids are here. I want to be part of whatever my community is doing is what I want to be a part of. I think people should think about things like that. I got to be honest with you guys. If I could join the military right now, I would. If I could enroll into the military right now, I definitely would.
People don't you run from mayor or something?
What's that?
Mayor?
No thanks, man.
Clean the place up. Clean up America, man.
No, man. My town's nice, bro. You've been in my town. This town is nice. Now, as for your town, I could see maybe trying to run there to help you guys. You guys are a disaster now where you're at. Oh, man. I saw it. Did Ben the Bane just jump
Ben's
in?
joined. Do you want me to add him in?
Yeah, I can't see him down here. Oh, there he is down there below on the bottom. Yeah, let's go ahead and bring this guy in, man. Oh, what's up? What's up, buddy? What's going on, man? Hey, this is my producer, Dave. Dave, bring yourself back up there. Look at that beautiful face.
Get up here, Dave. Get up here,
yeah,
Dave.
He's my Scottish boy right there. He's the Scotty that I had. He's from Scotland.
How you doing?
Hold on. I didn't know having great facial hair was a prerequisite for being on this program. Dave, you got a good face of hair on you, brother.
Thank you, sir. I make an effort to keep this thing well groomed. I get competition over here.
He didn't understand a word you said, Dave.
Didn't catch a word of that, Dave.
That's all right, man. You'll grow up one day. One day you'll get old like us, and then
one day you'll get the grays here, the little peach fuzz grays here. I get it, man. Hey, look, keep the smile. Look at that beautiful smile, brother. Look at that. Look at that. Ben's got a beautiful smile.
You actually pull off a clean shaven face really well. I actually wish I could pull off as good as you.
He can't. I can, but he can't. I'm blessed with the jawline, bro.
I get a bum rash.
Yeah. Hey, let me see your hair, Ben. Ben, let me see your hairline.
My hairline. Okay, I got to hold on. I've got some hat hair, so you got to give me a little bit of
50 years old, bro. 50 years old, I look like this. Blessed. Oh, look at that.
Your hat hair, man. Jesus.
Yeah, man. Your hat hair is like flowing like Fabio.
Macaulay Culkin over here.
Look at this guy flowing like Fabio.
Listen,
hey, you're not home
this
alone,
programming is... What was that, Dave?
I said, you're not home alone, are you?
Home Alone?
Yeah. Are you home alone?
Are you
home
inviting
alone?
yourself over to my abode,
Oh,
Dave?
no,
Is that
no,
what
no,
I'm
no.
hearing?
I was just saying because you're rocking that Macaulay Culkin pretty good there.
Yeah, you do. You actually look a lot like
Yeah,
Macaulay
he does,
Culkin.
right?
See,
You
guys,
do. Hey,
which
he married
version
a
of
dime
Macaulay
piece. Have you
Culkin?
not seen his wife? His wife is a dime
Oh.
piece.
Well, because she was on The Sweet Life of Zach and Cody for many years, right?
Was she? I don't know
think
who
so.
she is, but man, I saw her at the awards thing, and she's a dime piece. I'm like, dude, you definitely punched up. He jumped and swung up, and he was able to land. That was definitely one of those things.
She's the lucky one. Getting to be with Macaulay, the Coltster.
Look at that dude. He won. He won at life.
Yeah, Brenda
Is that
Song.
her?
She was on The Sweet Life of Zach and Cody. Come on,
Yeah,
look at the
wasn't she-
Coltster.
Wasn't she on the social media thing? The Mark Zuckerberg. She was the one in there. Wasn't she her? Wasn't that her?
The Social Network.
Yeah, the social network. Was she on that?
Bro, she might.
Can you look that up, Dave? I think she was the one that was doing the BJs in the stall. Whatever, man. Make your money, girl.
Social network?
Yeah, was she
I
on the
can't
social
remember
network
that.
about Mark Zuckerberg?
No, it's Christy Ling.
Oh, okay. No, not her. No, there was a.
Oh, Brenda
No,
Song
she
was in the
wasn't.
film.
There,
She was.
yeah,
Yeah, she was.
Where?
yeah, there
She's
she
here?
is.
Oh, wait.
That's not her.
No.
Yeah,
that's
Brenda
not her.
Song. Yeah, played Christy Ling. I don't
Oh,
know.
there
who
you go.
Yes.
There you
but
go.
There you
Yeah.
go. Nailed it.
All right. You still
Hey.
got it. You still got it.
Well, you know what it is, right? I know an Asian face.
Josh, I'm
My wife's Chinese, bro. I know these things.
I'm glad from the film about a the most groundbreaking social media platform of all time, the story behind it. The only part you took away was who's giving blowjobs in the bathroom. That's the only
I
part
didn't.
that
The rest of the movie, I mean, outside of Eduardo Silvertine, who I actually had an opportunity to shake hands with in Singapore because he moved there and he relinquished his American passport, took all of his money so he didn't have to pay taxes, and now I believe he lives in Singapore. Yeah, he owns like one of the top skyrise apartments in Singapore at the top there. I think he ended up cashing out like $998 million. I think is what he got paid. Yeah,
he had like what 0.1%. I think they diluted it all the way down, but then it was still like.
But no, he sued them for his original percentage though, because he gave him the $1,000 to start the company or something that was from his dad, right? So that whole thing, he ended up getting he got paid. He got paid.
I'd love to know how many people tried to become angel investors and then burned millions of dollars backing some stupid startup that's like, we're the inflatable cushion company and we're going to be, really revitalizing relaxation.
Yeah, but I mean, you remember those two brothers that he stole the idea from, right?
The Winklevoss twins, bro. Those fucking guys at Harvard. Yeah.
Yeah, those guys cashed out too. They ended up getting like $300 million from him. They cashed out on it. That was one. And then two, they ended up turning their money into cryptos and Bitcoins, and they cashed out. They're huge into the Bitcoin era thing. And now they're worth like, I want to say they're billionaires. So
Josh,
they weren't retarded. Was that?
Who can you and I sue? Who can we scrape some money off of?
Right. We got to figure out somebody. All right. Hey, I obviously wanted to have you on. Let's talk real quick first about the Lerone Murphy and Marcel and Evloev fight. What's your thought on that fight? How do you see that fight going down? What's your thought on the fight?
So it's an excellent fight, right? On the nose, I think it's a beautiful featherweight scrap. This is to determine who should be up next at 145. Now, granted, both guys, in my estimation, could have claims to a title shot separately. Movsar Evloev hasn't been defeated inside the UFC, has a couple top 15 victories. Granted, boring fight style. I do not really enjoy watching him fight, but I have such great respect for the ability to get it done and get the hand raised, and I think he deserves a shot. Lerone Murphy, similarly, has not been defeated on a great win streak, coming off a knockout of the year contender. The fact that we had to watch Diego Lopez get schooled for 5 more rounds instead of one of these badasses getting their due is irritating to me. But I love the fight because of those reasons mentioned. I think the way that it plays out, bro, I think Evloev is going to have a lot of success in the first 15 minutes. I think those initial 3 rounds, the wrestling is going to be a bit irritating for Lerone. You think about the Josh Emmett fight. While Lerone, it was a masterclass. Emmett was able to get him down a couple times. Emmett's wrestling was able to cause a couple problems and some wrinkles for Murphy. And Evloev, I think, is a very tenacious wrestler, right? Maybe not going to control you 100% of the time, but it's those chained attempts. He's continually shooting. The wear and tear, I think in the first 15 is going to be annoying for Lerone. But I think those last 2 rounds, I think Murphy's going to shock him with something big. I can see Lerone getting it done inside the distance, and then hopefully we get some Lerone and Volk action as the year continues.
Wow. Those are strong words, because normally when you have a guy that can wrestle like Evloev, like they put the pressure, then the striker ends up being real timid on the feet. He's afraid to let things go because the takedowns just continue to get easier as the fight goes on. He's going to have to make those takedowns very difficult in the first 2 rounds. He can't just settle on bottom. He can't afford to not make Evloev fight for those takedowns. If he gets the first takedown easily, the second one's going to come even easier. And then so on moving forward.
But you don't have a lot of damage from Evloev, right? You don't see him doing a lot of significant ground and pound. You don't really see him advancing towards extreme submission attempts outside of that fight he had with, I believe, Diego Lopez. I think maybe even the Jafel Filio fight, but those were so far removed that I can't remember him being much of a problem in terms of finishing the fight. So it's going to be maybe some stamina depletion, right? Having a guy on top of you, controlling you. But for Lerone, it's like, look, you give up 3 minutes of a round in control time, and then you just kind of, okay, reset, get back out there. We start standing. I don't know. I just don't, like I said, I don't really love watching Evloev fight for that exact reason. I just don't see that kid trying to get the fight done. You know, he's winning, but I don't know. The entertainment bone is not in his body, JT.
So you're being completely biased in the fact that you don't like the way he fights, so you're going to pick him to lose. That's all I gathered from that position.
That's not entirely true at all. Josh, that's why I gave him his respect in those first 15 minutes. I think those first 3 rounds, that wrestling style is going to be a problem. I just think in those last 2 rounds, you're going to see Lerone have a moment. I think we'll find a moment on the feet and put Movsar away. It's like a crafty striker. You know, granted, Lerone, it's not like Lerone is finishing tons of people inside the UFC, but I do have a healthy degree of respect for when he picks his moments to go. Look at Pico. Pico wandered into the pocket like a dumbass and got crushed instantly. I can see a point where after 3 rounds of Movsar having some success, maybe controlling Lerone for good portions of the fight, I can see a moment where he gets a little lazy. Maybe he gets a little out of focus on a takedown attempt, and that's when Murphy's going to strike. Now, granted, grappler versus striker, yes, it always seems to go the way of the grappler, but I don't know. I just feel something in the water for UK zone Lerone Murphy.
It's a real tough one, man. Real tough one. I like how you gave him all the love. You gave Evloev all the love in the beginning, and then you shit on him right after. But I get it. I understand. I understand where you're coming. Look, you know, I mean, we hear it all the time. People do it all the time. I mean, I don't do that, but hey, it's your take. I get it. No.
Okay, JT.
I'm giving you a hard time. Look, I think his ability to wrestle, grind heavy, get on it. Like Pico left himself in the pocket because Pico loves to stand. Pico's got heavy hands. He's got some good boxing, but he got indecisive in that moment when Lerone spun, and that cost him the fight. And so, whereas he should have been wrestling from the jump to start getting Lerone thinking about it, that's what's going to happen right now. He should have got Lerone. Pico should have got Lerone thinking about the takedown over and over and over and again. So he was timid to pull the trigger. That's how Evloev fights. Lerone's going to be timid from the jump, because he knows that no matter what I do, Lerone's not going to try and stand too long. He's not going to be stuck in that pocket between stand-up and wrestling. If there's a choice, he's going to lower his level. He's going to shoot single leg, double leg, ankle pick. Doesn't matter. Imanari roll. He's going to do it all to get this fight to the ground. I'm going to lean towards the wrestler because, look, I come from a wrestling background, so I'm extremely biased in that way. I love Lerone Murphy, but notice how I started off with giving Evloev the props and then not shitting on him later. But I said, but Lerone, he's got the ability. There's no doubt about it. He's got the skill. He's got the ability. He's got the movement. But this is what's always concerned me a little bit. You take, I'll give you an example, is Umar Nurmagomedov versus Corey Sandhagen. And Corey learned a lot from this fight. He said, I realized the guy that wants to wrestle and the guy that doesn't want to wrestle, which is him, doesn't want to wrestle that much, is I have to run around and stay out of wrestling range the whole time. He's like, by round 3, I was exhausted. So Lerone Murphy can be in the best shape of his life. But one of the things that Corey Sandhagen is a world-class kickboxer, but he's also very good on the ground. Lerone Murphy's not as good as Corey Sandhagen on the ground. At least I don't think. I haven't seen a big enough sample size of Lerone on the ground. But I mean, Corey Sandhagen's pretty damn good on the ground. And his ability to get himself back up, his ability to stop takedowns against Umar, you look at that fight, does Lerone Murphy have what Corey Sandhagen has? And to understand that Evloev is a more aggressive and just wrestler than Umar Nurmagomedov is.
I don't think that Movsar Evloev is able to control guys.
Is it Evloev? Because you got me over here saying
I'm saying Evloev. You're saying
okay.
Evloev?
I say
it's
Evloev.
not. I'm going with how it's
Evloev.
spelled.
I think it's Evloev, but
Evloev. Evloev. Okay. That's how I'm.
Okay.
JT, look, you can talk about how you're complimenting guys and not being critical, but you can't even get their names right, Josh. How dare you?
This is very true. Wait,
it's definitely Evloev.
Yeah.
No, you're saying Evloev. It's not Evloev. It's
Evloev.
Yeah, it's Evloev. Yeah, or
it's not Evloev. I can tell you that.
Well, it could be that. It could be that too.
Okay.
Dave, I don't believe your insight on this one.
No, I'm pretty sure the commentary team pronounced it Evloev.
Okay, look,
but Josh, you are known for saying.
I'm 100% known for butchering people's names. I will butcher everyone's names. You don't realize. I'll just do it. Look, no one's worse. The only person worse than me. There's two guys. There's only one I can think of though. Is Chael Sonnen. Chael Sonnen is the only guy that butchers names worse than me, and he just gets a pass. I was saying Chael Sonnen gets a pass just because we all expect that from Chael. From Uncle Chael, we expect just the butchering of names. Yeah.
JT, you're undefeated and undisputed in my book. Okay.
I love this, bro.
I'll give you that Westland gangster energy.
I love it, bro. You gassing me up. I love this. I've been getting gassed up all day today because I've had Dustin Poirier giving me so much love on the Rogan show. Rogan giving me love on the show. Just great dudes, man. Both of them I've trained with. And I said this earlier when you weren't on. You know, Dustin and I go way back when I was out helping Frankie Edgar get ready for his second Benson Henderson fight. And Dustin was out there. And I was like, dude, you make 145? You are insanely big. Insanely big. Just no way. How much you weigh? He's like 182. I'm like, jeez.
Fucking yeah, how?
How do you make the weight? He's like, yeah, I'm a little big right now. But I'm like, damn, man, you're just enormous. Huge. But
I have one last thought on Movsar Evloev and Lerone Murphy. You bring up Corey Sandhagen, and I love the parallel because that is a great fight to reference, him versus Umar, when we think about Lerone versus Movsar. One of the big differences, though, I'd say, in the arsenal of Murphy that I don't really see, at least recently in Corey Sandhagen, is this ability to intercept. Right? You look at Makwan Amirkhani against Murphy, shoots in for a takedown, gets splattered. You look at Aaron Pico, wanders into the pocket without 100% focus, gets splattered. I feel like Lerone Murphy possesses that bone, whereas Corey Sandhagen just hasn't shown it as much recently at the higher level. And maybe Lerone doesn't have that at a higher level either. Makwan and Aaron Pico, maybe they're not cut from that cloth. That's totally fair to say. But I just think that there will be a time where Movsar tries to get in, whether it's a takedown, whether it's entering the pocket to try and clinch up, and that is when Murphy is going to put him on his ass. And look, I don't know what Evloev is made of when he's stunned because we haven't seen it. So I think that he's going to feel that fire, take a little thunder, JT, and he's going to crumble. I think that's what I anticipate because I think he's going to face the music for the first time and go, man, I'm fucking hurt for the first time. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm seeing stars for the first time. And that's when, Murphy's going to get it done. That's just what I anticipate. But again, it's all belief. So I guess we'll see on whenever
we're going to find out. We're going to definitely find out. Do you dabble at all into the PFL?
Ooh, well, pre or post Bellator acquisition?
Ooh,
because
I mean, like honestly, the main event is just Bellator fighters, and the co-main event is Bellator fighters. So.
Yeah, same shit, really.
Yeah. I mean, you've got Johnny Eblen versus Costello Vancinas. I gave a breakdown on that fight. Going to be a good fight. Fabian Edwards versus Costello Vancinas for the title in the middleweight division. Then you've got AJ McKee versus Adam Boric. Do you know those two guys?
Yes. I'm more familiar with McKee.
Absolutely.
Adam Boric, I haven't seen. I know he fought Pico. But beyond that fight, I'm not too familiar with Adam's game. But it's just it's weird. I'll step back from those two fights specifically and just say from the matchmaking perspective, I feel like PFL has a decent roster, especially with this Bellator acquisition. Granted, we can go back and forth about the contract size and how inflated some of these purses could be, right? But they have a access to a lot of decent people. And the matchups that we seem to be getting, I just don't think JT are some of the best ones on offer. You know what I mean? It's not as compelling as maybe it can or should be. That's at least my flavor on PFL at the moment.
Yeah, I agree. Look, I think that they've got rid of the tournament format. I think it's now just best fighters fight the best fighters, and that's exactly what people want to see. So now whatever fights they can put together, I think that's the way to go. 100% the way to go. The biggest reason why I wanted to have you on today is because, we were cut short last week, so I wanted to follow up with you on this week. You had a pre-engagement that you had to join into, but this week, there's been a lot going on in the MMA world. You got MVP, which announced the signing of Nate Diaz and Mike Perry. That fight has been in the works, and I did a little quick show yesterday. If you guys haven't seen that yet, tune in and check it out on our YouTube channel, on the Weighing In YouTube channel. I talked about my name was thrown into that hat of the Mike Perry versus Nate Diaz, not Mike Perry, but my name was thrown in that hat. And then I heard that Mike Perry was going to be coming about because they were actually working with the BKFC to get that deal done. And I knew that once Mike Perry became available, the Nate Diaz had mentioned Mike Perry. I figured that was the fight they were going to make, which I think is fantastic because in terms of viewership, in terms of what it brings to the table, it's amazing. Now, I know that I did a clip yesterday and the thumbnail said, is the MVP card better than the White House card? My take on it is they're completely different cards. One is for the nostalgia of us older fans and for the hardcore fans to really fall in love with the sport again. And I think the Gina Carano, Ronda Rousey, the Mike Perry, the Nate Diaz, the Francis Ngannou and Lins, like that fight to us, it's just the fight that it's outside of the UFC. It brings excitement to me. It does, especially the Gina Rondo and the Nate and Perry fight. It does something for me, man. It makes me feel good about seeing where MMA, but there might be a potential for MVP to build an MMA promotion on the back of Netflix or both vice versa. But the actual better card with the better fighters is going to be the current UFC, obviously rosters and champions, the fighting at the White House card. Am I right or am I wrong?
Let me offer you this. Do you like apples or do you like oranges? Right? Right?
Yeah,
both are
I'm a
good
Honeycrisp
fruits.
guy. I like Honeycrisp. I'm a Honeycrisp guy.
JT, I can tell. But it's really, that's how I feel about it, is they are servicing different things. And the MVP card on Netflix, it is all spectacle. It is all, the biggest stars that you could probably sign in this free agency period, like Ngannou, like Perry, like Diaz, bringing back a girl in Ronda Rousey who, most modern fans, and truthfully, I'll be candid, I started watching in 2017. That was post the Rousey era. But upon having gone back and researched, bro, she was setting pay-per-view record after pay-per-view record. She was a massive fucking star. The drop-off in interest for women's mixed martial arts after Rousey left is crazy. Even during Amanda Nunes's prime, her heyday of being at peak relevancy, it doesn't touch what Rousey had. So I think there is this huge demo that is very curious about Ronda Rousey. They all know the name. Now they're going to see her fight on Netflix. Wow, it's drawing people in, but it's not comparable to the White House card. Right. I think it's not comparable. I don't think it's fair to compare. I think they're just different intentions behind both shows, and that's perfectly fine for them to coexist. I think that trying to do which one's better, which one's worse defeats the entire purpose. Let them coexist. There doesn't need to be this. There doesn't need to be this battle of which one's better. This is the first MMA show on Netflix. That's the storyline for me. Them tipping the toes in. Now, I don't believe that Netflix's model and business structure is going to lend itself to weekly mixed martial arts, bi-weekly mixed martial arts. I don't think they're interested in that, right? So the whole motivation behind this division and vertical is not at all what the UFC is trying to do. So again, it's just why the fuck compare? I think if you were going to look at which card's better with the matchups, it's sure, you could say the White House because it features an Ilia Topuria who's in his prime, an absolute badass, Alex Pereira, who's one of the biggest stars over the last couple of years, going for a unreal 3-division effort. It's you would obviously probably say current MMA, there's more compelling intrigue there, but for more spectacle, I don't know, man. I feel like once this MVP card gets rounded out, because who the fuck knows who else they're going to throw on this, right? Seems like everything's fair game. It could have maybe more spectacle factor, because kind of like we were talking about last week, I am totally fine with Bo Nickel appearing on the card and Kyle Dawkins appearing on the card. But when you hype up the UFC White House and you've got people saying 6 or 7 title fights, this is going to be the biggest card in UFC. This is going to cost $60 million. And then you've got Bo Nickel and Kyle Dawkins. I am sorry, but it is objectively deflating a little bit. And that's no disrespect to both guys. That is a product. They are unfortunately getting the short end of the stick by virtue of the marketing machine that is operating above them, right? So I don't know. But again, to re-bring it back, long story long, JT, I just don't like comparing them.
No, I would agree with you 100%. One of the things that Scott Coker always told me is that, like, we're not trying to compete with the UFC. When he had Bellator originally, when he had Strikeforce, specifically when he had Strikeforce, he's like, we're not competing with the UFC. He's like, there's enough room for them to do what they're doing and enough room for us to do what we're doing. He's like, I'm not trying to compete with them. I've got fighters. They've got fighters. He's like, I just think my fighters can beat them. He's like, and that's okay for me to say that because I believe in that. And that's no different than how he felt about the Bellator guys as well. He never wants to try to compete with them. He's like, look, if you want to do fights at the same time, whatever it was, he never tried to compete with them or go head to head with them. He didn't want to. There was no need to. He just understood that we could both coexist. And I agree with that 100%. What I think, though, is that I saw guys like Luke Thomas, and I saw some other media guys talking about how, oh, the UFC is so far out of reach that they can't be caught. 100% agree that the UFC cannot be caught. They're in their own world. They've created their own lane. They've created a format that works for them. 14, 15 fights, sometimes 16 fights in a fight card. We know when we sit down to watch fights, we're going to get this many fights in a night, and we're going to get good fights. They're going to be some of the best fighters, if not the best fighters, in the world, which is great. But I think MVP is looking at the UFC and going, okay, look, something's a little bit wrong with it right now. And I think a lot of people would agree that there's something wrong with it. They're not developing stars. We got lucky with Alex Bahia. We got lucky, we've gotten lucky with a couple guys that have come along, during the, but we're not getting the old school Shogun Huas and the Chuck Liddells and the Tito Ortiz and the Frank Shamrocks and, and the BJ Penns. We're not getting those guys anymore. Is it because we've saturated the market? That's one thing. Do you think it's because we have too many fights? Is it because we have not just too many fights, but we have too many fights on a card that people just don't, they get lost in the shuffle. They don't follow. Like the fight that I saw, the first fight, the second fight, and the third fight I saw this last weekend, I couldn't tell you who fought.
Yeah.
That's how many fights were on the card. I feel like there is a position for MVP to go ahead and jump into the MMA world on Netflix. They have to basically coexist with each other. They have to be partners, but without really being partners. They have to be business partners without saying like, hey, we've signed a contract, but like this is the deal. Is like, I want MVP to come on here once a month. And MVP does a job of, and this is how I think they coexist, is MVP sees what the UFC is doing and they do the complete opposite. Too many people say, we got to compete with the UFC and do what the UFC is doing. No. Don't do what the UFC is doing. Do the complete opposite. Do less fights with bigger names. So whoever becomes available, tell all the fighters from the UFC, tell the guys that are whatever WWE guys and bare knuckle fighting guys. If your guys' contract is up, come see us, because we can do one fight a month on Netflix. We can pay you guys. We'll have 5 to 6 fight on that card, and that's it. The card is done. We'll put the biggest names, and this is how our show is going to go. We do one card a month. Every month is a special event with a new group of top fighters, and however you want to shape it. You could throw in a Roth wrestling match. No, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying you could make it an event where everything is there. But I would lean more towards combat sports. Obviously, I'd make it MMA or boxing. And maybe even bare knuckle. But I would try to keep it in that MMA world, because the MMA, you've got a lot of those fighters that might be willing to leave that are active fighters. And I'm going to use him as an example. And I know he's come out and he's kind of like sided with the side of the UFC, which is very smart on his part. But Sean O'Malley's got 2 fights left on his contract. Sean O'Malley and Jake Paul are friends. If Sean was to say, look, I'm going to fight out my contract and just see what happens, the UFC would get a little upset with it. I understand. But Sean could go over there after he sees what the numbers are. But Sean could go over there and be like, hey, They're offering me this. Like, let's go ahead and have a talk. And Netflix may come to the table, or MVP may come to the table. Like, look, we'll pay you $6 million a fight. Look, they don't have to do the Conor Ben $15 million a fight. For MVP doesn't have to do that. They don't have to outpunt the coverage. That's the thing. People see it now. You see it with Ronda Rousey. You've seen it with fighters that have left, Nick and Nate and those guys, or not Nick, but Nate. Like, you've seen fighters leave for more money and they've had success. Now, not everyone's going to draw like Nate Diaz. Not everyone's going to draw, like a Sean O'Malley. Sean could potentially leave and make $6 to $8 million a fight an MVP, fighting twice a year. It's $12 million a year, plus whatever sponsors he gets, which he gets to keep. It's a lot. I think he'd end up making some good money off some endorsement deals, going to fight for MVP, Netflix deal, whatever it is. Understanding the viewership reaches so far. Now, the one thing that I will say is this, is today it was released, and I wonder why it was released today, was Alex Mejia goes on and goes, I signed a new 8-fight deal, and it was a way to shut up all the critics about money. Alex Mejia saying I signed an 8-fight deal, and they took good care of me. And I don't even care who you put in front of me, I'm going to fight him. That was the UFC did a smart job by saying, hey, Alex, we're going to pay you this much for 8 fights, knowing you're 38 years old and you're not going to fight for 8 fights, but we're going to go ahead and sign you to an 8-fight deal so you could never leave and fight somewhere else until you're 70. Very smart on their part. The UFC is going to start doing that with all these fighters. They're going to start trying, and I'm surprised they didn't sign a lot more fighters before they signed the Paramount deal to long-term contracts, because that locked them in before people started complaining about the $1.1 billion a year. It's one of those positions where fighters should fight out their contracts and test the free agency. Check and see. Here we go. It says, this new deal
that they gave me, I don't care about letting go of the belt or anything like that. They took really good care of me. The way they gave me this last contract was so good that I left it up to them to do whatever they want. Now, I agree with a lot of what you said. I disagree with a couple points, JT. The thing about signing Alex Pereira to an 8-fight deal at his age, and his comments there where I don't give a shit about the title, basically, it's concerning because to me, it's a Pandora's box. Because what we saw with the Conor Ben situation is it is very circumstantial and case by case when the UFC wants to open up the checkbook, right? This is another
different. It's different. I don't want to say it's different money because it's not different money, but it is kind of different money.
Sure, in the sense that it's the boxing, and that's more of a hit Dana and Turkey versus Eddie Hearn and all that. Sure, I feel like a lot of fighters won't see it that way. I feel like a lot of people won't see it that way.
100% they don't.
Like we said, it kind of isn't. But for Alex Pereira to say that he doesn't care about the title is wild to me. And it establishes a bit of a precedent when arguably your biggest star does not give a shit about the biggest achievement and award, right? That's within your organization and the sport of mixed martial arts. Now, granted, you could say Alex Pereira has been the champ at 185, at 205, defended the titles. Maybe he's at this point, right, where it doesn't matter. But to have, for all the other fighters on the roster, right, when you see the guy that's been at that level say, I don't give a shit about any of this anymore, doesn't that plant a weird seed? Doesn't that start to divorce the actual meritocracy of like the sport itself, where you go, okay, I advance through the rankings, I get the title wrapped around my waist, and it's this big thing. I'm at the pinnacle. But now I've just seen the guy say none of that matters. And so what is it, So I don't know. I think that's a bit odd in that angle. To your point about
that's very minute though, and compared to like fighters right now are talking about they want to make the money. If it comes down to the money or the belt, which one do you think they're going to change? Like Mike Tyson,
they're getting neither.
What's that? Yeah, they're getting neither right now. Majority of them are. But my point is that if they're going to take the money, Mike Tyson has plenty of belts that he's laid around on his pool table, so they're all just garbage. They're all just shit. They don't mean anything. They're trash. He's got every damn belt imaginable from the time he was an amateur all the way up until the time he was a world champion multiple times. He flipped them over on his pool table. I believe it was on a documentary that I watched. He's like, it's trash. They're garbage. They don't mean anything. They don't do anything for you after you're done fighting. And all they did was give you self-gratification while you were fighting. But as soon as you were done fighting, they just collect dust. They don't do anything. That's the way he looked at it. And got to be honest, I've got my world title belt sitting in my spare room. It doesn't do anything for me. It's a cool story.
At the moment, it doesn't. JT, at the moment, it doesn't do anything for you. But I think that it's in a space where you are seeing a quote unquote competitor in MVP come out, then you look back upon, okay, what's the UFC's big thing? Best in the world. This is the top level of mixed martial arts. If we no longer give a shit about the title being number one in the world, to me, it starts to dilute what the rankings mean. Then you have a real serious problem where it's just a 600-person roster of no one gives a fuck random people. And that's the opportunity for a lot of other organizations, in my opinion, to really rise up and say, no, actually, we've got the top people right now. You know, we've got the number one. So I don't know. What I mean by that is I think it starts a slippery slope of opening a couple doors for some other people. All this to say, I don't know. I don't think that Alex Pereira's statements there help the UFC in a long-term sense. I think short-term, yeah, good.
You as a fan, do you want to see the best fighters fight the best fighters, or you want to just see the fights that you want to see? Like, so I want to see the Nate Diaz and Mike Perry fight. I want to see that fight. That fight tickles me fancy, man. I want to see that fight. Like, if it was, and I want to see Nate Diaz versus Conor, and I want to see Nate Diaz versus Dustin Poirier. Those are the fights that I want to see. I could give two shits if Nate Diaz was to fight Ilia Topuria. Don't get me wrong, I'm going to tune in 100%, but I don't care if I see that fight.
I wouldn't care either, because if it's in a UFC sense and it's a main card or a headliner, I would like to see the best versus the best. It should go hand in hand, right? And so if now the conversation starts to shift and the trajectory doesn't become that, then I lose interest in the brand as a whole a little bit. I feel like the meaning is gone a little bit. You know what I mean?
But that's because the UFC has always said and told people that they had the best fighters fighting the best fighters. And this right now is proven not to be the case. Arman Tsarukyan is not fighting for the title. And this is no dig at my boy Justin Gaethje, but he should have been the one fighting for the interim title against Justin Gaethje. Right. And it didn't happen.
I agree.
Okay. Yeah. So then now we're not getting the best fighters fighting the best fighters anymore. It's not happening. Okay. So that now is why I think people have started possibly to start talking bad about the UFC and their business and what their model is. And now you're losing fans, or fans are just getting disgruntled. Now, this is where MVP comes into play, is because they're going to go ahead and feel the need to snatch up whoever they can and put together the most intriguing fights with the fighters that are available. And they're going to do this, just like I said, if they do one show a month, you were going to tune into Netflix. It's all basically free. Netflix is $20 a month. It's the most viewed platform, I believe, in the world. I think outside of YouTube, right? But people know when you go to Netflix, you're going to tune in. Like, everyone's got 300 and something million, I think, is how many they have. Maybe even more than that.
Yeah.
They're going to tune in, and if they can work a deal with that, and there's the other underlying thing right here is Netflix tried to buy HBO Max.
They tried to buy Paramount. Yeah.
They tried to buy Paramount.
Well,
I think HBO Max was also involved in that too. And they got shut down by Larry Ellison and the administration, I think, or whatever, stepped in and said, no, you guys got to make a bid, do this, do that. Larry Ellison came in and put in this fucking huge number and bought it. So there's a little bit of that, like, well, the UFC is on that side with Larry Ellison, and the Netflix is on this side by themselves with Jake Paul, who's trying to stick it to the UFC. And there's a little bit of this pissy match that's not even being talked about. They think it's Jake Paul and Dana White and the UFC versus MVP. No. I honestly believe there's a little bit of this Paramount deal mixed in with the Netflix deal of them pissing on each other. Like, no, I'm going to show you I'm going to do this.
It's weird because when you look at that whole merger bullshit with Netflix and Warner Brothers and then Paramount, of course, the three players on the field, Netflix, Ted Sarandos, the CEO of Netflix, had a deal with Warner Brothers. They had agreed on a price tag. It was all done. And then obviously this administration's FTC blew that apart to enable Ellison and the whole Paramount crew to come in and overpay to an incredible degree, like they overpaid for the UFC. You're telling me an organization like Paramount, which is valued at what, $15 billion? Right? 10 to 20 range, can just spend $84 billion purchasing Warner Brothers, 7.7 on the UFC, however many billions on South Park, however many billions on, their properties that they've spent money on. It's just weird. So to your point, I can see where Netflix, Ted Sarandos goes, all right, you guys want to play fucking games. Let's play some games. And enables Jake and MVP. And, I do think you're seeing that with the boxing side. You're seeing a couple events a year, that MVP puts on, and they become the most watched events of the year. And the UFC is not going to be able to compete with that. So when this, Ronda Rousey and Gina Carano card becomes the most watched MMA event of all time, you know for a fact that Jake is going to be marketing the fuck out of that in the face of Dana White and this White House event, trashing it completely, saying, oh, your washed up stars from a decade ago have just been viewed by 75 million people on the night. Your White House card is going to be lucky to crack 10 million viewers.
Yeah, I think the White House card does anywhere between 10 to 15 million. I don't see it breaking 10. I don't see it breaking 15 million. I hope it does. I don't think it does, but I think Ronda, Gina, Francis, and Nate and Mike Perry, I think it pushes them into the 40 to 50 million range. And that'll be the most viewed, like you said, MMA event ever. And that's bragging rights for Jake Paul to say, I've been in this game for 2 weeks and I'm here now, the best promoter in the MMA world. That gives him the bragging rights. And Netflix, but that's what he's going to do. That's what he's going to do. And look, in all fairness, go ahead.
I just don't think it's going to turn into once a month. That's the thing that I think I disagree a little bit on. I don't see them moving to once a month. I can see maybe 3 or 4 times a year, once a quarter. MVP and Netflix will do a big MMA spectacle card, and kind of akin to their boxing efforts. It's a couple times a year, but it's just not consistent. They like the one-off premium live event, and nothing consistent. So that's why I see it could be difficult for fighters to truly view it as an option. To test out, but
the most the biggest business to be in if you're in the TV industry is what? Live sports.
Well, football specifically, but live sports
football specifically. But I mean, like MMA, I honestly believe MMA is right there in the availability to go ahead and put on big fights. If Netflix and MVP were willing to join and make this thing happen, and work together, one show a month with 5 to 6 fights. I honestly believe the White House card is a sample size for Jake Paul and MVP to say, hey, let's see how well that runs. Let's see how smooth it goes. Let's see what the viewership is. Let's see if it does well. Because 5 to 6 fights on a card for older fans or fans that are like got kids and got shit to do and can't watch all the prelims, they're just going to tune in for the main card of good fights. Not boxing where you just tune in for the main event. Try to tune in for the whole card. You get 5 to 6 fights. I think that they may have something. I think everyone online, especially on X, has been talking about, oh, they're trying to compete with the UFC. No. I'm going to take what the UFC does. I'm going to adjust it and change it a little bit and make it my own. Because if you're going to try to do what they're doing, you're going to lose. You're never going to catch them. That's the worst thing you could possibly do. What you've got to do is create something, not so much create new. Let's not reinvent the wheel. Let's make the best fights we possibly can make. Let's make the most exciting fights with the biggest names we can make. But let's only do 5 or 6 fights on a main card. And let's go ahead and put them on Netflix for $20 a month. And if we do one show a month, I think you've got something there. And like I said, I don't know, and I agree with you. I don't know if they're willing to commit to one show a month. I'm simply saying we don't need to compete with the UFC with 50 or 48 shows a year. That's not what they need to do. No one can do that. That ship has sailed. Bellator tried. Strikeforce was trying to do it. Other events were trying to do it. That's gone. Trying to do that is it's stupid. It's the dumbest thing if somebody has so much money to try and keep up with them and do a ton of shows every year. One big show with 5 to 6 fighters on, and you have, let's say you have 40 fighters, 50 fighters, maybe 100 fighters on your roster for weight classes, and pick the weight classes that will deliver. 55, 70, probably that 200, 205, and maybe heavyweight. You've got 4, I don't know, whatever, or whatever fights you can put together. Because in every commission, in every state, the commission almost all have the same weight classes. 125, 135, 145, 155. Vegas and California both have 155, 165, 175. The weight classes are already there. They've already been committed. They're there, just the UFC doesn't use them. They're already available to use in most of these states. So my thought is you can put any fight you want together as long as you pick the biggest names possible to put on the card. Okay. And I also threw this out there yesterday. I said, look, Nate Diaz, if he gets a win over Mike Perry, which I think is going to be a tough task for him. If he gets a win over Mike Perry, I could see you eventually seeing Jake Paul versus Nate Diaz in MMA. And I think you could see Nick Diaz versus Logan Paul in MMA. The two of them, 2 brothers versus the other 2 brothers in their own promotion on Netflix. and they would do a huge documentary about it or a lead up to the fight. What is it called when they do the fight camp stuff? I don't know. I was part of one a couple times.
Some embedded.
Yeah, some embedded. You could do the whole embedded thing. Like they could do something along those lines. And it would be huge. It'd be huge for that fight, be huge for the promotion. And then you piggyback your young talent. Think about this. What if not Netflix, but if MVP was able to sign Gable Steveson?
So I was actually just about to bring him up, right? Because that is a move where you start chopping a little bit at the UFC, where you pick up the prospects, you take some of the hyped up-and-comers, and you say, yep, they're off the table. Have fun, signing random motherfuckers who have, lower ceilings. I think that's exactly what they should do. If Gable Steveson is not on this Netflix card, Steveson, shit, now I'm talking to you too much, Josh. Now I'm fucking up names. If Gable Steveson is not on this Netflix card, it is a huge missed opportunity from Jake Paul and MVP and Nikisa Bedarian. But, dude, I'll tell you what, man. Like, I'd be stunned. I have a lot of confidence that they'll try and snatch him up or work something out. The only thing that could really throw a wrench is Gable is obviously being mentored by, guided by John Jones. And I don't know what John's relationship is with the UFC at the moment because, obviously it's very tense and complicated. But I feel like John would defer to the UFC. And I feel John would probably tell Gable, let's not go with MVP. Stay, awake for that UFC opportunity. Who fucking knows, right? That's big speculation. But that would be the only wrench that I see getting in between Jake and Nikisa from snatching Gable for that Netflix card, which, again, I think they should absolutely do.
I think if they did sign Gable, that it would have to be for like a 3-fight deal. And I saw somebody here go, in the roster, when I was talking about on your roster. On your roster is this Arden Fast? Yeah. On the roster, there is no roster. I know there's no roster. The point is, though, is to sign guys, the younger guys, like a Gable Steveson. Okay, you put them on the roster.
And also, you give them one fight a year, you pay them $1 million for that one fight. They won't fight it. They'll be fine not fighting again, right? Yeah. You give some of these guys like Sean O'Malley. You pay Sean, like you said, $3 million, $4 million a fight. He will be content to do twice a year. Yes. Right. And so it's really not like that crazy of an idea to get people, on that MVP squad. I think, it really just boils down to how many events is Netflix interested in doing. And truthfully, I'm not bullish on them doing once a month. I'm not bullish on them doing every other month. I think we can see maybe like this will be a success. This will absolutely be a smashing success. But the question
you think 50, 60 million? Or you think lower?
Bro,
or
I think
higher?
on the
Give me
low
the
end,
over-under.
I think 50, 60 on the low end. I think this could easily crack in the 70, 85 range. Man, I think that it's drawing so much attention and the card's not even fully announced. I think that they're still going to pack a couple more good punches. Anderson Silva was just talking about it on Hawani's show, right? I wouldn't be shocked if they get Silva a fight booked on that, right? And so I think that there's still some firepower you can add, but the problem is like, how many legends and superstars can you really pack in to a card even 4 times a year?
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like that operation only works for 2 to 3 years. And then you kind of run out of guys, the spectacle wears off, and then boom, you're kind of done. Whereas again, the UFC has existed for decades and they'll exist for decades more.
No, I would agree with you. I understand 100% what you're saying. And I think that they're going to be around for a long period of time. There's no doubt about that. MVP, just the biggest thing that what I saw is people talking about yesterday on X about like they're trying to compete with the UFC. That is the worst thing you could possibly do. Don't try to compete with them. Try to create something that you see they are lacking. And right now what they're lacking is fan engagement. You want to know why? Another reason why I said they're lacking fan engagement, the reason why I feel like they're not building new fans is they do do half their events at the Apex.
Yeah.
So if you do half your events in the Apex, that means that families have to take their kids to Las Vegas. I'm sorry, but I was just in Las Vegas and I took my kids with me because we were there for Chuck Liddell's wedding. Outside of that, though, I'm not taking my kids to Las Vegas. It's just not one of those places. I'm not paying $22 for my son to have water like I did while I was there. And we stayed at the Mandalay because they have the wave pool and the lazy river and the whole thing, right? Getting it all in. They've got the aquarium there for the kids, for my son and my daughter. Like it's in Grant, like that you go. I try to find the most kid-friendly place I could go to.
Josh, it's okay. You can say that you wanted the aquarium for you. It's okay. You could say that you wanted it.
I mean, you get to pet the stingrays.
The stingrays?
While you're there, yeah. You get to feel the
no, it's not cheap, man.
anemones.
Bro, those Apex prices as well are not cheap. You talk about like a $200 minimum seat to be inside the warehouse. And I'm like, yo, you could probably get a Premier League ticket for $65. You know, so you're dollar per dollar, the bands don't work out. And the fact that, you know, the UFC again is just operating on this cost-cutting mindset where they're signing fighters that are going to accept shitty contracts. They're not being on the road because that's expensive, right? The logistics of it are expensive. But to your point, all that accomplishes is decreasing the fan engagement. But like, kind of like I said last week, they don't give a shit. They've got the $7.7 billion, the $25 million per event. They've got the site fees coming in from the places that are willing to pay. A lot of these U.S. cities don't really want to shell out $25 million to bring the UFC to their, location because it's just not viewed as an economic injection that makes it make sense. So I don't know. I get both sides of it. I just wish
it's not the World Cup. It's not the NBA Finals. It's not March Madness. I mean, like we used to go to March Madness in Tahoe, and it was huge in Tahoe because the casinos were there. And I'd go to March Madness every year with my cousins up in Tahoe. It was huge. You had the Airbnbs when they first came out, and also to the hotels, all swamped, all packed, everything. It injected money into their community. The UFC, I don't think, does it to the level. 15,000, 18,000 people in a city is not as much as you think. It doesn't inject that much money and finances into the economy that people think it does.
Because it just doesn't have the same pop in terms of headliners. Like, I'm sorry, but Gilbert Burns and Mike Malott, that is not a headliner fight. That's not a fight Canada? That one's up in Canada, and Mike will probably draw, but it's one of those things where, like, it's indicative of the matchmaking problem, especially in those main event slots. Because the question is, if we're going on the road, it better be someone that's going to draw. And sure, you could do local guys, but I don't know. There was another main event I was thinking of, JT, that was a better example than Burns and Malott. I can't remember it now.
Well, we just talked about one was Belal Muhammad.
Gabriel Bonfim.
Yeah. And that's no dig at my boy Belal, but like, he's never been a fan favorite. I love watching him fight. People don't love watching him fight, but people don't give him the credit he deserves. But I want to ask you this though too. Is this deal potentially the end of the UFC? Because if they don't see their return on investment, they don't see the ROI on this in the next 7 years, or even by year 3 or 4, they're like, fuck, we wasted all this money.
Josh, I think they're realizing that now. I think they are.
I think it's too early.
The fact that I think that they're maybe starting to see this was a bit. I think they knew it was inflated when they signed the dotted line for this. I think they recognized
the UFC. I don't think could have signed fast enough. The UFC was like, "Where's the pen? Give me the pen." You want it in blood?
Well, fucking whatever it is.
Whatever.
I'll piss on the contract. Piss my name in it. Of course they're going to take it, and they're incredibly smart for taking it. And this is a huge credit to Dana for putting this together. You got to give flowers where it's due. I think that, kind of like I said the other day, it feels like this whole broadcasting deal wasn't really about the UFC. It was more about, an organization trying to buy some favor with the FTC and Trump and leveraging Dana's relationship within the administration to do that. They scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. You give my boy a $7.7 billion broadcast deal, I'll approve your merger. Or I'll shut down that Netflix merger.
You're going deep into the rabbit hole.
Oh, Josh, I've got the tinfoil hat on, man. It just, to me, it feels like there's so much more going on with that deal than simply the sport itself and like the actual events. So that's why I feel
we're going to call you Ben Alex Jones was what we're going to call you. Ben Alex Jones Bain, right? Like.
Hey, listen, there's no frogs turning gay, I'll tell you what. But it's just, it's one of those things where I think they knew it was bloated from the moment they signed it, but they were okay with that because of all the other things that were going to come with it. Now, as the 7 years progresses, that's a long time. That's a long time to realize that, just how inflated maybe it was. And especially to your point, if the UFC continues to take the foot off the gas, bro, in 4 years, when you think about how the relevancy will drop and the engagement will drop for 4 years of continued poor matchmaking, poor recruitment, just a poor effort overall into pushing this product and scaling this sport out as much as it can be. I don't know. I mean, I think that the UFC and TKO are going to be completely fine because they've, again, made their money. But, like, I think the fans are going to really suffer. And there's going to be...
What did they make? $1.8 billion this year? They profited $1.8 billion, I think.
TKO or UFC?
TKO.
TKO profit last year.
Oh, no, I think UFC was 1.8.
Google
what you got there, Dave?
This is a Dave question.
What you got?
4 point. God damn. $546 million income. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's TKO. TKO is 4.735 billion. And a net income. Jeez. The revenue was 735 billion. So the net income was only, it wasn't even $1 billion.
That's still
Oh no, it says right here. The company achieved an adjusted percentage of is 1.5 billion. So yeah, 1.6 billion, 1.585 billion. Jeez, man.
Do you know what EBITDA stands for, Josh?
No idea.
Earnings before interest, tax, depreciation, and then honestly, I'll tell you what, I forgot the A stands for. So we're in the same boat on that.
I couldn't read it. I was actually trying to look at it. I didn't read it. I was like, I don't know. I was thinking of a word, and you're over here talking about abbreviations or.
Either way, they're making so much fucking money.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go. Tax, depreciation, and amortization. There we go.
There you go. Big
there
words.
we go. Yeah, those words are above our pay grade, Josh.
Oh, way above, way above. Look, I just think that there is room for MVP. Now, whether Netflix decides to jump on the bandwagon and go ahead and commit to one show a month, I'm not sure about that. And I'm just speaking out of, if they decided to do it, I could see it having success. One show a month, 6 to 7 fights. I would say 6 to 7 fights a night on a card, and you get the best fighters you could potentially get that are available. So fighters from the PFL become available. Fighters from Ryzen become available. Fighters from, one championship become available. There's fights to be had. Guys from the UFC, whatever. Guys from boxing. Think about this. Think if you can get Bud Crawford, who's got a wrestling background. His son just won state in Nebraska, right? Omaha. He's from Omaha, Nebraska. So his son just won state as a wrestler. Like, he's got wrestling in his genes. He can wrestle. Maybe he does a one-off for, 20 million, 30 million. I know he's fucking loaded now after that last fight, but you know what I mean? There's fighters out there that would consider doing something like that would really bring in the eyeballs.
And also, I'll give you this. I think over the course of 7 years, if MVP and Netflix, their MMA experiment goes well, they can get to that once a month by the end of this 7-year window with the Paramount broadcasting deal. I can see that as the 7 years goes on, them becoming more and more frequent as a MMA organization. And I think that the powerful other feature is you could have MMA fighters making their boxing debuts on these MVP cards, right? And TKO boxing is not as established as most valuable promotions, right? And it doesn't offer the same engagement at the moment. Maybe TKO boxing will explode. They continue to sign, world-class talent. Sure. I feel like, imagine a Sean O'Malley boxing debut, what that would bring in. How much he would make, how appealing that would be to him.
You busted my balls last week when I said Dean the Great. I'm like, look.
Oh, because that's a bad fight, Josh.
But it brings in eyeballs. You know that it brings in eyeballs.
I know that Sean O'Malley TKOing Dean the Great would bring in many eyeballs. It would bring in a lot of eyeballs.
But
and I think,
what do you got against Dean the Great? What do you got?
Oh, I don't listen. I think that Dean is, especially at this current moment, is just. He's a little lost. He's a little lost. And I think that he's been suckered into this world of social clicks and doing anything he can to create noise and attention. And there's no such thing as bad PR. Unfortunately for Dean the Great, there is a thing as bad PR. And so I think the kid's eliminating bridges and opportunities that he doesn't need to. And I've gone back and forth with him, and he said some very mean things in the DMs to me. And I'm like, buddy, I've got nothing against you. You're a really competent boxer. He's a fun fighter inside the ring on Misfits. He talks shit at the weigh-ins.
I didn't know you guys knew each other, like had a relationship. You're just like,
Josh, he's one of the Misfits. Come on, man. There's more.
I didn't know this.
We went back and forth on something on the timeline, and then we took it to the DMs, and it was nasty. It was nasty, Josh, and it just didn't need to be that way.
Did he get up in your little feelers? Did he get in your little feelers?
No, not in my feelings. Come
No.
on, tough skin, baby. Tough skin.
Yeah,
over there.
I don't know, man. I had a chance to meet him. He seems a little lost, I think, right now. The whole Quentin thing when he got slapped in front of the big boy put it to him. Hey, bro,
Tiki, when Tiki hit him with that elbow?
Yeah, when people were trying to tell me it was staged. I was like,
it's not staged.
No, I don't think so, man. I don't think so.
I think that big guy.
I've known Tiki for 25 years. Yeah,
there was no shot that was staged. The big guy though, I think I could see that bodybuilder guy being staged a little bit, because it was, I don't know. I mean, look, if you and I were in that situation and someone kept trying to make passes at our girls, what would you do, JT?
Hey, you know what's funny is you remember Paul Daly?
Yeah,
Paul Daly, the Brit. Yeah, Semtex. Paul Daly, I was with the girl at one of my fights. I got done fighting him. I think we were in Columbus, Ohio, and I fought out there. And after the fight, we're all sitting at the bar. Everyone is, all the fighters. You got Frank Shamrock, you got Mauro Ranallo, you've got Ed Herman, you've got all these guys, Trevor Prangley, Phil Baroni, all of us. And Paul's checking out my girl she's at the bar, and Scott Smith, and Paul's trying to convince Scott Smith to go over and talk to my girl. Paul knows that that's my girl. Scott Smith is smashed drunk. He's like, all right, I'm gonna head on, and I can hear, and I just look over the corner of my eye, and I look and smile. Paul goes, he's gonna do it, and he starts to make a V line towards my girl, and it's so funny. Phil Baroni goes, "Hey, motherfucker, sit your ass down before I bust your fucking head off." It was so fucking great. It was so great. He's like, "Yo, that's Josh's girl, man," and it was just funny because Phil did it in his own Baroni way, but Scott Smith was so drunk. He said, "Oh man, I'm so sorry, Josh, man. I'm so sorry, man. I apologize." But Scott Smith was such a great guy, such a funny guy, but he was smashed that night. And the next day, he's like, "Hey man, I just want to let you know. I remember, I forgot. I'm so sorry." And I was like, "Bro, you're good, brother. You're good. No harm, no foul."
Paul,
I've always been
winding him up is funny.
Yeah, but Paul was winding him up was for sure. It was hilarious. So it was funny. Pull up this little bit right here, there, Dave, because this is another thing. What is the deal with Ronda Rousey? What is her? What is she mad? And look, I'm a Ronda fan, but is she mad at Hunter because he didn't want to do the deal?
Yeah,
Is he the reason why Gina and Ronda wasn't done inside the UFC?
So I guess if you listen to Dana's testimony, he has nothing to do with matchmaking, right? So I suppose we can operate from the baseline of it is all Hunter, Mick, and Sean that really run the operation. Sure. Well, let's run with that truth. Then I suppose it would be on Hunter. Yeah. If we're operating on that logic, Dana completely out of the picture, then sure. But we aren't privy to any of the details of what went down last year for that negotiation. Ronda conveniently leaving out the provisions or clauses as to why the deal didn't happen, right?
Yeah.
Like, if you're so pissed about it, how about you share what exactly went wrong? Don't just say you pissed off the wrong bitch, I'm coming for your job. That sounds weak, right? That sounds a little bit, too much spunk, no substance. JT, you know me. I like a little substance. So Ronda, you gotta share a little bit more. If you really want to get the common sense folk on your side, I think you need to have a little bit more higher caliber shot than, "Oh, I'm pissed at you." Because like a lot of people are pissed at a lot of people. Get over it, like I don't know. That's an odd comment. I'm with you on that. That's weird.
Yeah, I agree. I think I would like to see her just focus on the fight, promoting and doing the best she can to promote MVP. Taking digs at the UFC just sounds like you're upset. It sounds like a bitter ex, And also you're just a scorned ex almost.
And it goes against everything that we've kind of been saying, which is like they don't need to compete. It's better if they don't compete. But Ronda trying to trying to make this a little bit dirty and blur some lines. It's like, Ronda, you're actively working against your best interest. Because here's the thing. When Rousey blitzes through Gina Carano, I firmly believe it's going to be an incredibly easy fight for Ronda. There's probably going to be another opportunity for Ronda Rousey to headline. And so how is Ronda going to market the second MVP fight? Is it going to be the same shit where she's going, "Oh, fuck you, UFC, blah, blah, blah"? It's like, kind of already did that song and dance. It would have been better if you just refrained from it altogether. Do you know what I mean?
She's done.
You think she's done after Gina?
Yeah.
She did just pop up in AEW.
Yeah, I think she's done after this, which is smart on her part. Great idea for her to pump the show. I would imagine MVP helped paid for that, or they had just had a good connection with who's the owner of AEW? The guy who owns the Jaguars. Nick Khan, yeah. Nick Khan, and then the dad, right?
Tony Khan,
Tony Khan, and Nick Khan, right? The two of them.
Thanks, Dave.
he's into the WWE and AEW stuff, so he's one of those guys. All right, I'm gonna get you out of here on this though. I got a super chat for $5. Ben, talk about rituals you had before, during, and after your professional fight.
All right. Before my fight, a lot of excessive crying, a lot of complaining, just really visualizing myself losing over and over again. During the fight, getting my ass kicked and then getting knocked out. And then after the fight, just giving blowjobs to my entire team, just as a big thank you. Big grateful. I'm a big grateful guy. You know, I gotta pay it back to the coaches, the sparring partners. So, we work the mandibles, we work the fists, and it all gets done and done.
Oh man, blowjobs, really? Wow, interesting. That's no homo.
Gotta say thank you, J2. You gotta really make the boys happy.
Oh my man. Oh man. All right, man. Well, hey, man, I want to wrap it up on that, you guys. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed the show. We had a great time. Ben, man, thanks for joining me. I got you for a little bit more time than I did last time. Always great. Always a pleasure talking to you. Hopefully, we can continue to do this every once in a while and have you on, man. And by the way, I'm doing the CFFC next week in Atlantic City. I will be doing the KSI commentary for that. So make sure you guys tune in. It's available on Fight Pass. But great promotion. My first time working with them, to be honest, but I've always watched their shows. First time working with them. So check it out. If you guys have Fight Pass, check it out. It'll be next, I believe it's next Friday. So let's go ahead and have some fun. Ben the Bane, my man, thank you so much. And we will see you. We're out of here, man.